Hey, what's going on everyone? Seth Miranda here for Adorama TV with the new Leica M11. Now the M series is kind of interesting because they usually do like subtle incremental updates as the times move forward. But this one, the M11, actually has a pretty significant update to it. So a bunch of changes in general, but there's something special going on with this 60 megapixel sensor. First of all, it's full frame. And even though it's 60 megapixels, you can put it onto medium and small going down to 36 megapixels or 18 megapixels. Now here's where it gets different. Instead of downsampling and making the resolution just lower, what this camera does is bin the pixels. So what that's actually doing is taking all those extra pixels and putting them together to make bigger pixels. So this allows for better low light performance, lower noise in higher ISOs. But the one thing that's really interesting is Leica's claiming that they will give you one extra stop of dynamic range. So they're not just giving you that advantage of the file size being smaller if that's what you want, but you're also getting an actual optimization of the image based on what's changing inside the camera. That's pretty huge, and I gotta give them a lot of props for that. It's a really well-built, solid camera. You definitely feel it, and of course, all that amazing Leica glass that you can put on this thing. Now, it is a rangefinder, so you do have parallax manual focusing going on here. It's an optical viewfinder, and I think people that have never used a rangefinder don't really understand what's so great about it. But for me, if I had to say what my experience with a rangefinder is, it's pretty much you're taking that extra time inside the viewfinder to compose and really think about the image. You're inside the camera for just that much longer, and you're seeing through a window. You're not seeing through the camera itself. It's probably the worst way of explaining it, but it's really nice to see that we still have these rangefinder options out there, and it's really nice to see Leica continue this legacy. One of the other significant changes to this camera is you have internal memory. It's something I always hope all cameras have. We used to see it in consumer cameras at the beginning of digital, but now you're seeing it here in the M11 with 64 gigs of onboard memory along with the single SD card slot. So it's kind of like getting a built-in second card slot, if that even makes sense. But think of it this way. You have ultra-fast memory always in here. You can use the camera right out of the box. You can pick it up and know you have some sort of memory in here if you don't have a card on you. You could shoot to the body and then put them on the card and hand the card off to someone if you're shooting a wedding or something like that, or you just want to make another copy and give it to someone. You can do that. You have all these options. Onboard memory is super cool to have, and it's just one of those things that gives you peace of mind that when you pick up the camera, you can just go shoot. And that's kind of what Leica's kind of philosophy is just giving photographers what they want with the experience of shooting, and giving you the ability to shoot as soon as you have it in your hand is one of those things. So like the Q2 that we've seen, it has that digital zoom feature, which is great. So you can actually crop in to get that extra focal length if you want it. And I say focal length in quotations, right? Because you're just cropping on the sensor. But what's cool here is you have the 1.3 crop, the 1.8 crop, and what that does is it only crops the JPEG. So you still have the full RAW file where you can actually see the original focal length, and then you have those crop version JPEG. So let's say you're shooting something where you want that longer reach and you want to work in that type of framing, you can do that and then have an image ready right out of camera as a JPEG. But let's say you go, you know what, I actually wanted to step back, I wish I didn't crop. You're not married to that decision. You can walk it back, go back to the DNG file, and you have the full frame sitting there right for you to mess with. If you want to jump into it really quickly, there's the custom button right on the top that used to be on the front of the camera, but it's right next to the shutter release. So if you're seeing something in the spur of the moment, you wanted to get that extra punch in, just tap that button over there and you're right there working with the digital zoom on the fly and able to keep shooting, never taking your face off of the camera, and just get going. So true to Leica, it is a clean, sleek, minimal aesthetic on here. You're talking about 3 buttons on the back along with a D-pad. You've got your ISO dial on the left, you've got your shutter speed dial on the right next to your shutter release, and on the lens is your manual focus and your aperture. So it's nice and clean and true to like traditional photography in that sense. Less is more with Leica. They kind of want to give you the experience, not just the image quality. And there's a Leica experience to all of this. If you shoot one Leica, you know exactly what I'm talking about when you shoot another one, especially in the M series with the rangefinder. So instead of you getting bogged down with all these extra buttons or some type of user case scenario that you get lost in menus and stuff, it's kind of really streamlined and very intuitive and easy to use. The touchscreen lets you get right to what you want to get to. When you see it on the screen, tap it, you're there, and you're just able to just get going and shoot. And I think that's kind of like the romance of the Leica. So another difference is on the bottom, there's no more bottom plate. You have a direct line right there to your battery, right there no taking off the plate to get to it. It's just that much faster and easier to access. And you have a USB-C port here, which you can use to charge the camera. So if you're out there and you don't want to carry extra stuff with you, if you just like to have this around your shoulder and then you get to your hotel room, you can plug it in, start charging, you're good to go. That's basically keeping up with what's going on right now, right? But overall, the aesthetic is the Leica aesthetic. On the black, you do have a different top plate, which makes it a little lighter weight. The silver has the traditional brass plate on top, which gives you a little bit more weight. Not really sure why they did that, but it is another option for you. If you want the black, it will give you a lighter weight feel when you're holding the camera. So another update on this camera would easily be the battery. They're saying you get 64% more battery capacity out of this one than previous models, as well as a rangefinder power management. So what that's actually allowing you to do is, because you're not using an EVF that has a screen running, you're using an optical viewfinder here, it has like a low power mode to keep you shooting using the optical and not needing to burn battery because there isn't an EVF. However, you do have the option of an accessory EVF to slip into the shoe, and you could shoot with real-time exposure happening inside of an EVF should you want it. If you don't want to go pure optical all the time, more options, it's great. So you have a native ISO of 64, which is awesome, and it goes all the way up to 50,000. Now, you are able to get good image fidelity in the higher ISOs when you go to that 18 megapixel mode. So they're saying that when it bins the pixels, it makes them larger, right? When you use them better and lower light, collects more light, lowers the noise. So it's not just downsampling the 60 megapixels, but when you go into the 18 megapixels, you then get the benefits of an actual lower resolution sensor, as in lower noise at higher ISOs. And if you're someone that shoots at night a lot, it actually has a 1 hour max length on the shutter, which is awesome. So if you're out there with a Noctilux and you want to do some long shutter extrags, or long exposures rather, out there in the street, you can do it and just go right up to an hour, not worry about hitting a wall with how long you can make the shutter go for. And it goes as fast as a 4,000th of a second, and the flash sync is 1/180th of a second. So you've got those DNG files that act as your raw files of Leica, but you also have the Maestro 3 processor working with that Leica sensor to give you those unique colors that I don't think people really understand until they shoot a Leica for themselves. They can really see what's so special about the color you get out of a Leica, but it also happens from the lens as well. So you get that Leica color space inside the glass working with the sensor and the processor, all three together to give you that special, unique look that comes out of a Leica. And this is another reason why Leica glass on another camera doesn't yield the same results as the three working together to give you the results you would get out of a Leica like this M11 here. So it's something I keep saying you have to experience it, but that's really the truth, is you have to get a Leica in your hands to understand the experience, the quality of the image, and the overall what you get out of it and what makes it so special, along with the fact that they do hold value. These are really extremely well-made cameras. They're not just put out there, they're handmade. There's incredible craftsmanship and, dare I say, love for the game that they put into these cameras to make them what they are. You know, they're not for everybody, but they are very hard to press to not find a reason to appreciate them. All right, that's gonna do it for me today with the new Leica M11. I wanna thank Leica for sending us this to try out. It was awesome. And if you guys have any questions about my use with it, hit me with a comment down below. I will do my best to answer with the amount of knowledge I got on this. But for now, hit like, share this video around, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you get notified when more videos like this come out. Adorama is dropping new videos all the time about the new product, education, technique, and all sorts of stuff. You do not wanna miss it, so hit that bell so you know when it comes out. My name's Seth Miranda. I will see you guys next time. Later.